There we go. After a little bit of problems there, now we're all ready to go. So, it's good to go. What was Julia going to say? What was her big complaint? What was the warden's problem?
What'd you say? Oh no,
Yeah, nothing. No, she was saying something.
she's talking some trash. Took an hour to get set up. Took an hour to get set up. She said.
Well, weren't sure
Dark
whether we were going to
blue.
do this or not, but here we are. How about the Avs, man? Explain the Avs to me. The Avs last night couldn't beat the worst team in hockey in the Chicago Blackhawks, and then look at that little on-air sign. And then go out tonight and whoop Minnesota, who was 3 points off being the best team in the NHL. So you explain to me what's going on.
That's as old as time right there. Because even go back the game they won but before that when they beat the defending champs, right? So you beat the defending champs, you lose to the worst team in hockey, and then you beat one of the top handful of teams in the league. That's easy. what no one thinking about that game? Who they play last? Buffalo.
Chicago Blackhawks last night.
No, tonight was Chicago. Who they play the game they lost?
Yeah, Buffalo was the one where they got down big. Then they came back and won Buffalo. They were down. They were up on Montreal, who's not any good either, and ended up losing that one in a shootout last Saturday. And I won't forget it because I was trying to watch last Saturday. I'm watching the Avs. I'm watching you guys in San Antonio as that went into overtime, and I'm trying to keep track of Steelers Bengals as well. So,
dude, you're like all in on this sports thing.
Well, I kind of get paid to watch stuff, so it's cool.
Do you really?
I do.
Do you really?
I'm not here to read other people's opinions about how it went.
Oh, wow.
I
okay.
like to see for myself, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I guess you've got 50% of your team does that part of it anyway, so you're good there. I got 33% of my team watches just one sport, so I'm good there. So Well,
wow.
Listen, hey. I wasn't going to watch. Here's what I was thinking. You and I talked before we came on. I travel for about 6 months with a basketball team. I'm leaving town. We got a game tomorrow night after just playing 2 in a row. So it's our third game in 4 nights. Leaving town Saturday for 4 days. Come back for 2 days and then leave for 8 days.
Yeah.
So, I'm going to lay with my daughter, put her to bed, rub her back, get up. And he goes, hey, you watching this game? I go, what game?
Well, no, honestly, look, I'll be real open with people. The reason why I called to see, I was wanting to see if you were okay. And by that, I mean, you're not okay. You're like My Chemical Romance. You're not okay. That's a song. I know you don't know that.
Oh,
but
no.
That's a band, not a song, Andy.
No, the song is I'm Not Okay, Julia. So just shut your mouth and go back to Five Finger Death Punch. The adults are talking. Here's the deal. I was worried that you've been fighting the cold. It's whack because Notre Dame, who ended up winning tonight, and we'll get into a little of that later because you got some odd takes on the whole setup of the thing. But Notre Dame, whenever I see flu now, I'm assuming everyone's got the poopies or the barfies. Not like it used to be. I thought flu, but apparently a lot of people across the country got this norovirus thing going on. You actually had what felt like a flu back around Christmas, right? Right, right after when you started to travel. So I was a little worried you didn't feel good at all tonight.
I still got a little cough. No, you know what? One of the days, 26th, 27th, maybe, I got up and it was one of those. Oh, I better not ease this one out because something's coming with it. And I had that for about a half a day, and I pounded.
Emergency and Tylenol and all that.
Yeah, but Imodium. And went to Utah, took one before the game, and when I came back at that, I haven't had any troubles with the back end, but I had just congestion and running down your throat, coughing every once in a while. The thing now, which after we all survived the coronavirus. That was when you coughed and felt like you needed to get phlegm and couldn't get no phlegm. I ain't worried about that. About every third cough, I could pull up a loogie that I could chuck the link of a Cadillac. So I just dealt with that. I'm good with that. I mean, let's be honest. I got a pain in the ass that sits by me 90% of the time when I'm at home anyway, but that's my choice.
Well, she's got to love being a part of this podcast. Well, I called and you were ready to go, and so here we are, everybody. A lot to talk about. We haven't been on in a couple weeks. By the way, for those that care, because there's some crossover, the Mammoth one comes back. We got to do Monday nights. I found out Mammoth players do watch tape, but they do it on Tuesday nights when we were trying to do our podcast, and none of the offensive guys could join us. So moving it to Mondays, it'll be back this Monday. I think Ryan Lee is going to join us. All right, man, there's so much to talk about because we've not talked about anything for 2 weeks, basically over the holidays. Let's start, though, with that college football game that just ended, because I'm sure some of the people on here just watched that. We will talk Avs, we will talk Nuggets, we'll talk Broncos. You said, I've actually enjoyed a little bit of the college playoff, but maybe it's because I don't come from a hardcore college town. You went to Arkansas, which is in the heart of we love college football country. I'm thinking to myself tonight, Notre Dame moves on for those that missed it. 27-24, the final, and I thought, you know what, good for them. The NIU loss didn't cost them too much. I do like that leaves you a little room to breathe if you have a bad loss. Like, because back in the day, if you'd have lost NIU, like Notre Dame did, they wouldn't even been in this thing. They wouldn't have gone any big bowl. It wouldn't have mattered, blah, 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 blah. So you told me, though, you don't like this format. You're not enjoying the college playoff.
No, I don't mind no. Yes and no. How's that? I got a biological clock that needs to be reset because I don't need to be watching college football on January 9th, 10th, 17th. I don't need college football in my life on the second half of January because the championship game's in Atlanta, and it's 17th or something like that.
Yeah. Week from Monday.
Okay, well, the 19th then. I don't need college football in my life January 19th. Sorry. I like the idea that I mean, people forget when we used to have the mythical everybody gets to vote for a champion was great for talk radio for about 3 to 4 days after, because there was always one or two teams that get screwed, right? Whether it's I was 20 and I beat the 12th and 11th team, or, I got second and I had one less loss than whatever, but it was good talk, fun talk. So it's nice that they have a championship. It's nice they play. It's way too commercialized.
No doubt about that.
Which I understand you got to pay for everything, which that bothers me. I don't want to watch. I don't
TV paying for things too. I mean, TV's already given a huge hunk of money. To your point, do we have to add all the corporate sponsors along with it? Yeah. I mean, and we all know the greed is the answer, and so it's yes. But
I so I don't want to watch football. And then I think, this diversity of college teams. We need to get different teams. No, you don't. No, you don't. You got to figure out your 12 better and get me the best teams. I don't need to see a playoff thing with SMU in it this year, or even Clemson for that matter. And listen, Clemson's got a couple national championships. They've been a good franchise. They weren't a threat this year. SMU wasn't. Boise State wasn't. I mean, you got a whole lot of teams in there. You're like, listen, Tennessee was in it, and Arkansas beat Tennessee. Arkansas won 6 games. So maybe it was a down year a little bit. I think the four teams that are playing, Penn State or Notre Dame, are good, but you know what they are? And here's another thing, because we're in the midst, we're going to talk about the Broncos going to the playoffs for the first time in 9 seasons. Pretty exciting, right?
Yep.
I watched the game tonight, and there ain't no quarterbacks taking snaps tonight that I'm going to ever watch on a Sunday ever again.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I know this is a little bit of a bias, but I'm like, I don't like to watch, the Notre Dame kid can really run.
Yep, but he doesn't throw well. They talked about that on Sports Center today.
He had a big throw for a first down late, but the other kid, God bless him.
Aller, his name's Aller. Drew Aller. I hadn't heard about him until today, honestly, because like my college football days, probably like some of your NBA days, are consumed by one team that I'm covering the game for, right? It's CU. Right. So
Right.
I didn't hear about Aller, even though I know Penn State's been really good all year. Aller does have a good
But they both
arm, but he's not in
run the hell
control
out
of
of
his arm.
football. Both these teams run the hell out of football. And they
Right.
control clock, and they beat you up. And it was just, I want Josh Allen and Bo Nix. I want Patrick Mahomes and somebody good. So I don't know. So great game, great finish, kid. And once again, thank God the kicker transferred, a pretty good kicker transferred from another college to come play for your college so you can win you a championship. Thank goodness the quarterback transferred from another pretty good college to a real good college to help play for your championship. I don't know what college football wants to be. I don't know if they want to be another minor league pro football. I don't know what they are anymore. I love the idea of the playoff. I don't love the idea of let's just put hey, Boise State really out of good. Boise State, God bless them, and I understand they can kick CSU's butt and CU's butt. Okay, whatever. They ain't touching Penn State or Notre Dame or Ohio State. No.
All right.
No.
So here's the deal. I'm going to pick up on some of your thoughts there. I'm with you. It is late to be watching college football. Shane Mile High here said earlier, amen. Too weird to watch college football right now. Guys, keep sending some comments. We're going to get them on. We're going to get them all in there. Here's what they should do. Here's what I don't understand anymore now that you have a playoff. And so Drew Rosenhaus was on the Pat McAfee show today, and he said point blank, look, these are professional athletes now in college. It's what it is.
Yep.
They're professional because they're paid. That's just how it works. If you're a professional, you receive money for your services, and they're all receiving money for their services.
Yep.
So guess what? We don't have to pretend like you need to go to class. You're there to play football and make your dollars and all that, and it's fine. It's fine. If you want to go to class, go ahead and do it. What I would say now is now that you're making the money, there's no more scholarships. You want to go to class, pay tuition like everybody else. Decide what you want to do with that money.
Problem is not everybody's making that kind of money to be able to afford that.
Well, so this is my next point. So what you're going to ultimately have to get to is it's going to be the SEC and the Big Ten, and everybody else is going to be out of it. And then that way you can get 12 teams that play the same caliber schedule. That's how you'll get rid of your SMUs or your Boise States. Now, look, my guy Bill funds SMU, so I felt good for them getting there. But look, the Big 12, whatever the Mountain West is ultimately going to be in the ACC, they ain't going to matter in 3 or 4 years. It's just all there is to it. There's 2 conferences. We all see it. They're the power conferences. They're going to end up having 20, 25 teams in each, 26, whatever it takes. And they'll send and then it'll be the AFC and the NFC of college football. And we'll stop with all this stuff. And you won't have the little guys going. You'll get better matchups like you're talking about. But, it'll take away some of the Cinderella stuff, I think, that can make college football fun. That's what I am sad about. But, Scotty, to your point about watching it this late, why are we waiting 2 weeks, 3 weeks to get this thing going? I mean, some of these college football games are ruined by how long teams were off. The teams that all lost that last round had all had 3 weeks off. Start playing the damn thing first week of December. We don't need to take all this time off anymore.
No. The season ends right basically at Thanksgiving. This thing should be done. This should have been the championship game maybe. If you want to go
I'm with you.
January 9th, okay, Jim. Instead, we got another semifinal game tomorrow and then another one on the 17th in Atlanta.
I'm with you. It doesn't need to go this long. It really doesn't. And again, if they truly are student athletes, you realize by the time they play this championship, the second semester will have started. And I don't think that's what they're looking for. Anyway, interesting win by Notre Dame tonight. We'll see how this stuff all kind of plays out. Let's go. Let's jump to the Broncos since you already brought it up. What did you think of the last? You and I have not had a chance to do a podcast because of your health, your travel, everything going on, the holidays. I think our last chance, I don't even know if we got a chance to really talk about that Charger game. So where are we feeling about how they came down the stretch?
Listen, they're in the playoffs. I ain't taking any joy, right? You played 2 really good teams in your last 3 that wanted games, and you couldn't handle them. Kansas City sat, 8 starters?
No, they sat just about everybody, yeah.
Yeah.
They started 8 guys. Leggy gave me this because I asked him specifically. I go, what was the deal with Kansas City? He goes, so he went and looked it up for me. 8 guys got their first start of the year out of the starting 22 for Kansas City Sunday.
So playing inexperienced. Bill Cowher said it at halftime of the game. He said, Kansas City fans, don't be freaking out. They're playing cover 2, cover 3, and they're putting no blitz packages in.
It was basically a preseason game plan.
A preseason basic game. And with that in mind, you know what? So listen, you play who's in front of you. And with that in mind, Denver kicked their butts. And I mean, put it to them. But they were supposed to, right? You got all your starters. You're flirting with 10 wins. You got it. You're trying to get to the playoffs. They're not gonna do fancy stuff or show anything. Not play anybody. Guess what? Kick their butt. You're supposed to do that. So they did.
Not your problem.
That's good. I think it adds some false hope. I do say this, and I said this on Monday. I really do. Like, you didn't want to play. I don't. You don't want to play Baltimore.
I would agree. It's not a good matchup for you.
That's not a good matchup. And I'll be honest with you, I don't think the Chargers are a good matchup for you.
No, not the way they went. Not the way the 2 meetings went this year.
Pittsburgh, because everybody hates Russ. Oh, let's get Pittsburgh. We can take care of Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh beat you earlier this year, without Russ.
Yeah, Pittsburgh's got some issues though, just as far as health. They got some guys hurt. They're not.
Well, they got issues with health. They got Pickens who acts like he doesn't want to play. He's acting like Antonio Brown 2.0. But I really feel of all the teams they can face in the first round of the postseason, I'm not afraid of this matchup. I love Josh Allen. I wish he was wearing orange and blue, but and I think Buffalo's a better team. But I like this matchup. I think Denver could handle their defensive line if Sean will run it. I think you control the offense. I thought the way they came out against Kansas City needs to be the blueprint for this game. Yep. Quick short, first down, quick short, first down, run up the middle, first down, quick, boom, boom. Next thing you know, you're on the 10. Here's a touchdown. I think you got to control that game like that. Didn't they have like an 8-minute drive in that Kansas City game too?
They did. I think they did.
You do something like that, guess what? You win this game. I think Buffalo's better, but this matchup doesn't scare me.
No, I don't disagree with you, and I don't think Buffalo is a star. Like, again, I think one of the reasons everybody kept getting – Amari – well, yeah, they've got Josh. But, I mean, okay, let me amend it. They don't have that star receiver. Amari Cooper's been an interesting fit there, but I don't know that he and Josh have had enough time to get the chemistry down. And I say that, and I'm not being a hater for those that like to use that term. Bo Nix and Marvin Mims have been together since literally the spring, and it's only in the last month or so that we saw Nix and Mims get their chemistry down. Now the chemistry seems great. Now I feel like Bo's got a good feel, and I think we saw it in that Cincinnati game on that long touchdown pass. Bo knows, hey, I got to just let this ball go a little bit earlier because he'll run underneath it. I don't think Allen and Amari Cooper have that just yet. Now, these will be famous last words if they go out and ball out on Sunday. But I'm with you. I do feel like this is a pretty good matchup for Denver. Again, I don't think if Denver wins, I don't think they're blowing anybody out, but I think you could squeak by on this one. I think you could get them a little bit if you needed to. Here's the other. Let me ask you this, because I've had people tell me something, because I'll admit it to you. I did not like Sean. I felt like Sean Payton was flexing on the B team there later in that game. I didn't necessarily love it. I'm thinking, get these guys out of here, get Nix out of here, get them all out of here, and quit risking health. So I asked 3 different people about it, and they all said they thought Sean was trying to make sure, in particular Nix being the rookie, and everybody else in that offense fell 10 feet tall heading into this thing. Do you buy that? You think that helps you?
Oh, I do think coaches do that. I mean, you run the risk if something bad were to happen. You know, I watched, and this is girls basketball, but I watched a team that won 3 or 4 state championships in a row, Thunder Ridge. And they're beating a team from Colorado Springs at Thunder Ridge, and they're up 40, and there's 3 minutes to go in the game, and their starters are going in. Every single one of their starters played Division I basketball. So pretty good team, right? And you're already up 40, and there's 3 minutes to go in the game, and they're still in the game. One of the kids twisted their ankle. I'm like, what are you doing? So I know there are coaches that will keep people in for stats. We'll get people in there to get a few more numbers. The last week was loaded with Tampa Bay. Let's make sure and throw it to with Williams, right? So he can.
Yeah,
So
Mike Evans got a record, I think, by
Evans,
catching something.
so he can get his $3 million bonus.
Geno Smith made a bunch of money. No, you're right. This was the weekend of
Geno made
bonuses like we've never heard about before.
Yeah, and so there's that. So yeah, I can see where coaches will do something to try to build that confidence of a team. I can see that a little bit. I can see it. I'm okay with that a little bit. It all came out good. Everything worked out. And no one got hurt. And I mean, all you need to do is be throwing it with 7 minutes to go, and you're up 31 points, and Bowles, twist a knee or something. I mean, that's all you needed.
No, I'm with you. I don't. The team's depth still needs. Let's be honest. I think when this is all said and done, whether it's this week, next week, after the Super Bowl, there's still issues on the roster to address that I think you forget about because of some of the fun of the last 2 months, which is a good thing, But the issues on the roster are not as big as maybe we thought back in August or September.
You're also, though, aren't you, Andy, for the first time in 2 or 3 years, going to get some draft picks.
Thank God.
You're going to have your draft board, and if Bo Nix is your quarterback as D-Max says for the next 10 years, and guess what? You ain't got to worry about. And you got 2 guys that didn't play really at all this year as your backup. All you got to do is decide they're both free agents at the end of the year. Okay, I want this one, right? And so that might even open an extra roster spot up because you only keep 2 quarterbacks. Maybe you put one on the practice squad, a late round draft. Who knows? But you should be able to add a little depth this year.
Yeah, I would hope. Here's what. So I went back and did a deep dive into some of Bo's numbers, and it can be, we can talk about it even further again when the season's over. But it is interesting. Like I went back and looked at some game books and just looked at the stats. How did we accrue them? And I forget about Bo has hit a lot of guys. Like, again, I think it's design of the offense. I think it's Bo Nix quick decision-making and throwing the ball to the right spot. And I think it's a credit to these players that, in the first month of the season, I didn't think you had any playmakers at all. There's plenty of podcasts people could pull up of you and I saying that. But Mims become a playmaker. Cortland Sutton's making some big catches for you. You found some ways to make some plays, right? But you need more of that. Like, again, where I think Bo Nix could thrive to a Hall of Fame career is if you can build this thing like the old 80s 49ers. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Joe Montana was good for a couple big plays a game, but let's be honest, Joe Montana didn't walk around with the biggest cannon arm but you know what, John? You know what Joe Montana was? He was efficient. He wasn't afraid. He was Max Crosby praised the nuts that Bo Nix has. He again, what I love about Bo Nix, what I'd put as a huge check in the Bo Nix column after this year, Max Crosby, Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, they all got respect for how the guy competes. And so I do think that says something. So if you can get a group of playmakers around him, Scotty, this could be fun.
Well, listen, and I'm not a big Sean Payton fan, but we've talked about that in this podcast before too. He finally started using Mims and seemed like almost game planning for Mims. And then all of a sudden, what's Mims doing? Getting you a touchdown here, a touchdown there, one way over the top, inside run, this, blah, blah, blah. And even Franklin. You saw Franklin out there a handful more times, as the season went on. Well, guess what? There's 2 guys that can take the top off of defense, right? There's your 2 speed guys right there. I think they've got to settle. Is Estime, I thought he looked spry as the season went on, but he fumbled. Remember, he fumbled in game 1 or 2?
Yeah.
He didn't see the field for like 6 games. And that's coaching. And now all of a sudden he's got fresh legs, hadn't played much. Maybe that was smart. So, man, listen, they can add some depth. They can add some things. I think they got to add a tight end. The kid that played tonight for Penn State, and then the other one for Michigan, might be available where you draft. So you might be able to add a high-quality tight end next year. But between me and you, I'm afraid if you ever draft a tight end from Michigan, I'm just – a big thing.
Well, it's the Penn State kid tonight, this Franklin Myers, I think is his name, something Myers. I can't remember the kid's name, but he's supposed to be their draft pick, and I didn't see enough of the game to notice if he did anything or any because I was mainly watching the Avs, as you would know. So yeah, I don't know. Look, dude, all I know is you need some speed and you need some playmaking. Still not sure what they're going to do with Cortland Sutton, right? I mean,
Dude. Hey, let me
I
ask
wouldn't
this.
get rid of him, but I don't know what they're going to choose to do.
Hey, listen. What's our guy that went to the Lions?
Tim Patrick. Matter of fact, Shane was talking about him.
Well, no, hey, listen, Patrick, but I'm telling you, Vele's going to be able to do what Patrick does. And finally, he's starting to get Vele more involved, too. 3 targets, 3 catches. You're probably not wrong, Leslie, by the way. Vele can be your Tim Patrick. I really do feel that. But Detroit pretty happy to have Tim Patrick in, aren't they?
They are, and he's been a good player for them.
So let Cortland Sutton release Cortland Sutton and see how fast he finds home.
No, I'm with you, but here's what I want to remind everybody: we all make comments, right? And Dan was talking about Mims.
Did John let Mims roll, or did finally?
Well, here, yeah, because you know what happened? He started giving him little Jordan Humphrey snaps. Notice little Jordan Humphrey hasn't been there so much lately. Because you need to get some speed on the field.
Yeah, Jordan Humphreys was getting some of the Mims stuff. Jordan Humphreys was getting some of the Vele stuff. That's your future. Mims, Vele, and Franklin, if anything, the end of this season and going into next year or even this postseason, let's go. These are your guys. These are the guys. And Cortland needs to be the lead of that locker room or that wide receiver room. And if you can add another speedy guy, fine, whatever. If you can add a big tight end that can motor, catch, and block, let's go.
So I want to address this with Shane and everybody else. Looking back on it now, it's hard to say, yeah, we should have gotten rid of Tim Patrick because look how the season turned out. But remember, back at the time, I thought we might play David Sills a little bit more. I thought Franklin might be have a little more chemistry going with Bo Nix than we thought. Like, again, I didn't think I really thought they'd struggle to win 5 games. I'm not going to sit here and tell you I saw this coming. I did not see this coming. So we said, go with the younger roster. Let Tim Patrick go get a shot with a team that's going to make the playoffs. And look, I would say Tim Patrick at this moment, just being honest, has a better shot of going to a Super Bowl than he would have with Denver. If Denver's going to go to the Super Bowl, Denver's likely going to have to be Buffalo, KC, and Baltimore just to get to the Super Bowl, and all on the road.
And then you're going to see what Detroit, Minnesota, or Philadelphia,
the Eagles. Yeah. So I'm just saying, I will tell you this. If Denver were to go win the Super Bowl with the likely path they'd have to take, might be the hardest championship any team has ever won. And then I won't question anything anybody does after that, because that would be a tip. I will get every cap in my house and just tip it to you, because that would be incredible.
Super Bowl, and like you said, they end up beating Buffalo, Kansas City, and Baltimore. I think you ought to get a Sean Payton tattoo on your arm.
No, I ain't doing none of that. I know Mike Evans, who's got a Tebow on his ass somewhere. So
I got him on that one too.
I ain't doing that. I ain't doing that, kid. This guy's smarter than that. I'll do frosted tips bets where we just dye our hair for a minute, but no, I ain't doing no tattoo.
I'll do a frosted tips bet.
I'll do frosted tips, but I can grow that crap back out. But I ain't doing no tattoo. That thing's staying. So, well, you know what? It's been fun, Scotty. It's been fun. Ultimately, we'll see how this Sunday goes. By the way, the stat of the day. Did you hear any of our show today? Do you know my stat of the day?
Well, real quick.
Okay. I found this funny. Since 2017, Sean Payton is 32-12 against bald-headed coaches. So guess what? Here we go, baby. Here we go.
So when he was in New Orleans, who the hell was in the league?
Dan Quinn was in Atlanta. He's bald.
But Now, and here's what you guys got in this. There's the horseshoe bald, where you just got the hair.
Right. We were talking about that. We were trying to figure out what kind of bald this stat meant.
If you're playing 42 games against bald people, you're counting horseshoes.
You have to. I went and pulled up the coach, even just the coach's picture from this year. But see, he added to it this year. He beat Robert Saleh. He beat Todd Bowles, who was in his division in bald. Remember, who was the old Tampa Bay coach that wore the Kango? That guy was bald. Bruce Arians, he's bald.
Yeah.
So he would get those guys at least a couple times a year. Because remember, we found out Tony owned.
Tony Dungy was one of those guys. So
Tony Dungy's bald. So Andy Reid, we're going to say bald. I'm calling Andy Reid bald, man. Do you remember, was Pat Riley bald?
No,
not Pat Riley. Tom Landry. Tom Landry, was he bald underneath his fedora?
That was like Marine buzz cut.
Okay, but he wasn't bald.
I don't believe so.
Who's the greatest bald coach you ever played for? Did you ever? We brought up Gene Katie later. I was like, there's no way he's listed. But we talked about, I told him, I said Gene Katie scared you. I admitted Gene Katie scared me because I had to call it for you that one time. Well, Mark Johnson said Gene Katie scared him. I think Gene Katie scared everybody.
Gene Katie was scary. I'm going to give you two quick stories. I didn't actually play for him. He recruited me.
I thought he was the assistant coach with Sutton.
He was the year before I got there, and he got the West job. He came back, coach said, you can't play here. And then they sent out another guy to watch it, and he goes, what are you talking about? This guy's exactly who we need. And then somebody else came and watched it and go, yeah, we got to get this guy. But Gene didn't want me. He went to Western Kentucky. But there's a story. There was a guy, we were in the Southwest Conference. There was a guy called Gerald Myers. You could look him up. He was a longtime basketball coach at Texas Tech. And here's how the story goes. Gerald Myers was like a Korean Marine. I mean, he was straight out of the U.S. Marine Corps. I mean, and when I played there and he was coaching, he looked like, stout. He looked like he was one of those drill sergeants.
He was on the commercial.
Yeah, he was stout. And the story goes that it was Coach Sutton's early in his year. And Coach Sutton, you know how coaches go by the half court and they're hollering, telling the players to do this.
Right.
And Gerald Myers walks up to him and says something, I'll clean it up a little bit. Something like, you need to go sit your pansy ass down. This is my court. I don't want to see you up here around half court ever again. Coach Sutton looks at him. And, I mean, like I said, he was a Marine. Coach Sutton goes back, sits down, tells him what's happened. I guess tells the story. Gene Katie here. Gerald Myers now, for the rest of the game, he's up kneeling by half court. Gene Katie gets up and kneels down right beside Gerald Myers. Big old dude. He said, now listen, Coach Sutton's too much of a gentleman. But you ever say anything like that to my coach again, I'm going to whip your ass in front of all these people right here at midcourt. Now you get your ass back over on your side of the court and sit there. And he just looked at Gene Katie for a little bit. And he got up and walked down.
Yeah, that's right.
So, that's the stories I'm getting on Gene Katie. And I talked to him here and there for the next 30 years, even when he was at Purdue. We had him on the show. I think you got him on the show at Purdue.
Yeah, because he had won a Final Four game, so he came on for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's when he intimidated me.
Yeah, and
we weren't even in the same room.
Hey, coach, yes, sir, yes, coach. Like I said, I didn't play for him. But no, he wasn't one of them ones you mess with guys. That wasn't a mess with guy right there.
Hey, by the way, our guy Stan said Landry was bald.
I thought he just high and tight.
No,
he wasn't.
He wasn't. Stan's right.
Good job, Stan.
Stan knows. That's why I wore that fedora.
Because when you asked that today, I was like, I don't know if I ever remember him without a hat.
No, well, now we know why.
Yeah, now we know why.
Ed, do you think he was doing the deed with the hat? What's worse, leaving your socks on or your hat? can't get no traction with the socks on.
You know, I got a real dirty joke I was told in college about Tom Landry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you want? I mean, it's a dirty.
It's the internet. What do I care?
It's a dirty joke.
Like Bob Saget dirty, or how dirty are we talking?
I'll clean it up, but you'll get the gist. Goes like this, and Tom Landry's walking by the shower, and then Too Tall Jones is in there taking a shower, and he stops and looks and goes, "Whoa." Too Tall looks at him and goes, "Coach, what?" He goes, "Ed, I'm sorry, I just got how do you get that thing so? I mean, He said, "Coach, it's easy. Here's how you grow it. Every night before you go to bed, knock it on the bedpost 3 times, and then just get in bed." He said, "Do that for a week or 2, and you'll see." Okay. Gets home that night, thinking about it, brushes his teeth. His wife got in bed. She's got the lights off. She's laying in there. He goes, "Oh, yeah, remember what Ed told me?" So he flipped off the lights, walked over before he got out to the bedpost, knocked on the bedpost 3 times. All of a sudden you hear, "Ed, is that you?"
Oh, come on. Come on, that ain't right. Leslie said, "Don't clean it up." We all got the gist.
Well, listen, when I went to school at Arkansas, it still is a monster Cowboys fan base, right? It's Cowboys. And so that was one of the jokes going around college back in the day.
All right. Well, that was a good one. That was a good one.
Yeah.
We were trying to think of all the famous bald. I can only come up with Tarkanian. You know, like all the modern coaches, none of them are bald, man. They're all Sean McVay with his beautiful, perfectly coiffed hair. LaFleur, even Kyle Shanahan, even though he wears the hat,
Well,
he's got great hair.
Bowles, D'Amico Ryan. What was the guy?
D'Amico Ryan's a good bald coach.
The guy that wasn't Pierce when you consider him bald.
Oh, Antonio Pierce is definitely bald.
So he got fired. What about Mayo?
Gerard Mayo, great question. I think he was wearing a hat a lot too, but I don't know. I think he had some of his, just that classic box, the Robert Pack kind of brother-looking box haircut. I always wanted a Robert Pack haircut. Obviously, this was never going to work. I thought Robert Pack had the coolest NBA hair back in the day, man. I was so jealous.
He was close to Kids and Play kind of haircut.
Yeah, but his wasn't that tall, man. His was short. But his was cool. I liked his. So
we came in one day, had that thing cut up top, kind of high a little bit. We called him Kids and Play. Hey, what are you, Kids and Play? You remember Kids and Play? Because they were big back then.
What, did he like it, or was he getting mad?
Oh, dude, in the locker room, we busted each other's rear end so much it wasn't even funny.
All right.
Dude, I love Robert to death, though. We did that special on Dikembe, and we got the interviewing for it. He was awesome.
Hey, man, Robert Pack, there's just something about, and you know what's so funny? I tell people all the time, yeah, they look small. Like Robert Pack looks small on TV. Robert Pack ain't small. He's playing with giant people. But he was what, 6'1" or something, 6 foot?
He was, I mean, they probably listed him at 6'2", but he was probably 6'1", but he probably went 205, 200, 205.
Dude, he could jump. I loved what he was, just a fun player. You know what I mean? I can't remember if you ever had the greatest jump shot or not, but back in your era, taking it to the hoop, slamming it home. He was just one of those fan favorites, man.
You let him go right-handed, he was going to dunk on you. If you gave him a path to the basket, he could go right-handed.
Do you have favorite? Nate and I talked about this one day, and we'll probably talk about it again before it's all said and done. But do you have favorite players or favorite teams? Like, I think of some of those Nuggets teams, Mutombo, LaFonso Ellis, Robert Pack. Like, again, the team that upset Seattle, loved them long before they upset Seattle. Just was a fun group of dudes to watch play basketball, man.
Well, especially, once we got rid of what's the name? West End. But yeah, my years that I got to play with, in the year I retired, my first year in TV was the year they beat Seattle. But Brian Stith and LaFonso and Mahmoud and Dikembe and what was our guy?
Jalen Rose,
What was our
McDice,
played was here for a
Rodney.
year. Temple. Yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of good dudes. There's a bunch of good dudes that we had. Joe Wolf that we lost this year. Good dude. You guys had him on a show.
Yeah, it was crazy. Thanks to Dan. Thanks to Kaz. Excuse me.
Yeah. No, we had some good guys. Dan was the perfect guy to come in here and bridge that and kind of get guys to believe in themselves. And it was talented. The only thing good Bernie did was those drafts. He didn't know how to sign free agents, and he didn't know how to. And it seemed like he forgot how to draft after. In fact, I don't even know if he was drafted. I think he got Dikembe. He might have got Dikembe. I don't know. But after that Brian Stith and LaFonso Ellis draft, I don't think he drafted anybody that was any good or stayed long.
No, you're right. I guess I forgot about that because like Jalen Rose and Rodney Rogers and Antonio McDice, all those guys were post all those guys were post Bernie. So I don't know. Look, man, they were fun players. I can name a whole bunch of Bronco teams I love that didn't really win the big one, but I still just loved watching them. The Three Amigo teams, obviously. It was funny because say that again.
That Three Amigo team got to the Super Bowl.
They got there, but mainly on the strength of John's arm, and then we'd all find out later as to why that didn't work. So it's too bad. John Madden was right when he said John Elway was the greatest one-man gang this league had ever seen. So
that time, right?
Yeah, well, but again, who else? Like, look, in basketball, sometimes in hockey, maybe a dude can get you there, usually, because there's less dudes. You know what I mean? There's less guys. John Elway, God, he was good. I just don't – I feel sad for, like we were talking about different areas, and it was fun. Nate was kind enough to just kind of open up a topic and let me go. I probably rambled longer than I should, but Nate just got out of the way and let me talk about it because he asked me where would I put Von Miller all the time. And, I like to tell people, I rank the guys that I saw. It's hard for me to talk about Gradishar and Alzado and Louis Wright and Floyd Little and who just went into the Ring of Fame there, the safety that moved Steve Foley. Steve Foley. Like, Tom Jackson. There's some great players that have played for this team, but I was, my memory starts with Elway in like 84. You know what I mean? Like really remembering watching guys play. So it's tough for me to rank some of those greats of the past.
Well, it's whether it's football or basketball, we'll stay with that. Even probably ice hockey. Everybody talks basketball. Well, guys now, they're so much better athletes now. Well, you're going to tell me the great players of that era wouldn't have adjusted and been in the training room as much and done all that stuff as much. Come on now. You're going to tell me John Elway playing in this era where now you can't touch a wide receiver after 5 yards and you ain't really hitting the quarterback late, right? You ain't going to tell me with that arm he ain't killing. I mean, is he not adding another 20,000 yards to his career?
Yeah. Yeah.
Think about it. I mean, it was a whole different era. I mean, what was the game? Was it the Raiders game? I think it was a Raiders game. Remember, he runs the sideline and gets a late hit, slides all the way underneath the bench. Boom, 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 boom. I don't even remember if they gave him a penalty on that. I think they did. But, man, you wouldn't even think about touching the guy like doing especially a quarterback now. Could you imagine somebody sending Mahomes 20 feet sliding on his side underneath the bench in today's game?
Guy would be ejected.
He'd be ejected out of the game right away.
Fined.
He'd probably be fined $250,000.
So this is interesting. Leslie here is kind of new. She's feisty tonight. So, Leslie, I would just say, and this is the perfect comic, quite honestly. She said the Manning was so much better than Elway ever was. It's very hard to compare eras, and they were very different players. Leslie, all I would tell you is, and I remember having this conversation, it was so fun. After Super Bowl 50, I'm doing the show with Ed in the afternoons. Brandon Marshall came in, Chris Harris came in, Ryan Harris came in, and I used to love to ask all the guys, all right, the Super Bowl 50 defense against the 1998 offense, right? Who wins? And every time Ed would say, whose rules are we playing by? Because the receivers were allowed to run free. Ed and Rod and Shannon, they had to fight with guys were literally, they were punching you, they were grabbing you. Like I was told, Leslie, one time, there was some DB, Scotty, that I can't remember who it was, but I was asking him about Rod Smith. And he was like, Rod Smith was a motherfucker. He goes, look, man, Rod, you put your hands on Rod. Rod would go down with his elbow. He was like, he's trying to break your forearm for touching him. Rod was like a street fighter. You didn't want no part of Rod, is what guys told me. Rod was the meanest, nastiest dude off the line you'd ever seen. None of those guys are doing that now because you're not allowed to hold those guys that long.
You're not able to do that. And that's the whole.
How many times did Logan tell us about guys coming in and just launching a helmet into their chin to break? Like you were allowed to intimidate guys that way. Can't do that now.
And that's the whole thing. I'll comment on Leslie too. Is that the problem is when you say this guy's better, it's like you got to diminish one guy or the other.
Yeah, I'm glad they both are Broncos.
Yeah, Peyton Manning would have been good 10 years earlier, also 20 years earlier, also.
Well, and Leslie, the other thing I would offer up, and Danny's, I don't want to just pick on Danny. I appreciate everybody listening, but see, Danny was saying Manning was smarter. Guys, here's the other thing I'd put out there. Look, Peyton Manning I'll give you that. Peyton Manning, I always call him the Matrix. He was Neo from the Matrix because he saw everything happening before it happened. He knew where to put the football because he just saw the whole chess game better than any quarterback that I'd ever seen. But Scotty, you and I both know Dan Reeves didn't let John Elway play John Elway spent half his career and really the prime of his career in a run-first offense where Reeves did not want to let him throw the ball everywhere.
And that was part of the stink with him and John when they played in that Super Bowl. Remember, they hadn't even talked or done anything. And you said it best last week or early this week, and you said, run, fourth quarter come, and then Reeves go, John, go win the game for us. And that's why he had so many. That's why when he left the game, he had more fourth quarter comebacks than any other quarterback in the history of the game. But you're exactly right. They ran, and then all of a sudden, all right, John, we need you to rescue. We need you to take care of it for us. Here, win the game for us. I won't say either one's better. Elway was a better athlete, quicker, faster, stronger. He had a better arm than Peyton. You want to say Peyton's smarter? Great. That's fine. I know he really, he had no life. Football was his life. John Elway, and again, that was part of that era. What was the great line from Stabler was in his autobiography? I studied the playbook by the light of the jukebox.
Yep. Yes.
And that was that era. I mean, you're going to go out and listen. When I was in Miami, I got to know Dan Marino a little bit. And so he got me tickets to game. They win a game. We hang out in the parking lot at the stadium for an hour and a half drinking beer out in the parking lot. It's a beer and hot dog league. Now these guys got, smoothie machines and kale and all this different stuff. So it's a whole different how the approach to the game is now. But John Elway wasn't stupid.
No, look, and my problem becomes, and the reason why I brought a lot of this up is that I hate you said it before. I don't want to diminish the greatness of the past. I feel like one of the problems we have in modern media and our industry does it, Scotty, is, like we're going to label Notre Dame, Penn State, the classic and what a great game and an all-timer. And this is like everything that we see. Like, here's what I'm begging Bronco fans to do. Bo Nix has had a really good rookie season. Okay. Really good. Don't deem him the greatest. Don't deem him anything. Let the kid show us what he's going to be over the next 3, 4, 5 years. And if it goes south next year because the league has studied that like hell and to counter what he does, don't be calling him sucky. Don't say he's trash. You know what I mean? Because I feel like in society, we've just decided you're either great or you suck. Like
Right.
every team that loses the champion, well, that team sucks. No, they don't. They got to the championship. And I say that as a Bronco fan that remembers 3 times you're getting trash talk. Like I remember as a kid, 3 times I'm getting trash talk by all these, you guys are terrible. Terrible. We got to the Super Bowl. What was your team doing? You were watching us. But that's somehow like you lose the big game or you lose something and then you suck. And I don't understand why it's the greatest ever, it's the worst ever. We've lost our in-between. So
I got a lot of buddies I hang out with, my high school guys that I hang out with every year, and we're on a thread together and all that. They hate 2 Broncos.
John Elway.
John Elway, Peyton Manning.
Yep. There's no doubt.
And you know why? Because they own the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, didn't we have like the stretch where Peyton didn't lose to a divisional opponent till the Chiefs finally beat him inside that game where he got benched after or whatever in 2015? Like,
yeah. Was that a home game, wasn't it? Or was that a rough
yeah, it was. It was incredibly awkward. Remember,
yeah.
he like set some all-time passing mark or something, and the team was struggling to get anything going offensively. It was like the worst time for him. It wasn't even that great a pass. And I don't think like they had all this stuff planned. Let's stop. Here comes Hall of Fame guy. Give me the ball. Let's rig. And I remember Peyton just being like, get the hell off the field. This is not the time. Never mind all this stuff we were going to do. We are losing. I can't, it was a bad, like he'd already thrown a pick or something. And I just, anyway. Hey, the Nuggets, I feel like the Avs are fixed. I'm psyched about that. I feel like the goalie thing's going to help the Avs a lot. They still got to, I don't know. The Avs got so many skaters hurt, but I got a good feeling about the Avs. I think like things have been smoothed out with the goalie moves. How do you feel about the Nuggets right now?
I think they're fine. I think they probably got to add a piece. I think the Boston game showed. I don't know if you've got anybody credible behind Joker. Now they come and play against the Clippers and just crush the Clippers. But D-Mac made a good point today. How much the guys from LA worried about what's going on in LA.
Yeah, we talked about it too. There's no way they could have been thinking about that game. I mean, Kawhi was gone. Half their coaching staff I heard was gone. Their homes are burning. It was almost not fair to make them play the game, but it is what it is. So,
how about if you're the Rams, you win your sucky division and you get a home game, and now because of these fires, you got to go to Arizona.
Got to go there. Yeah, but I mean, in a lot of ways, it's the right move. First off, it's the right move because you can't have emergency personnel trying to man a football game. And you and I know how many first responder types it takes to put on a football game. And B, I don't think the fans would be going to the game anyway. Some of these people don't even know where they're living now. Like it can't even, the videos coming out of LA, like you can't even wrap your mind around that's LA. It looks like a bad movie. So anyway, but yeah, do they need more size, Scotty? That's my only question. And I know it's tough on this team because you need the right size. I love DJ, but I think DJ, I've been meaning to ask you this for a while because I always tell Nate, I don't want DJ. I don't want Russ, although Russ is showing that he's not this way. I don't want anybody to be this year's Reggie Jackson, where you had shared the story last year where Reggie had said, there's a certain amount of minutes I don't mind playing a game, and that thing got exceeded a lot longer than I think they wanted it to. So do they need another big man option for Joker? Or is it just not in the cards this year?
I think it'd be nice if they could get somebody, but let's be honest. You get somebody this time of the year,
right?
Who have they ever played when they get people in this late in the year? Who have they ever played?
Well,
you got Hardenstein that's killing it in Oklahoma City. You had him on the roster. Jay Huff's killing it in Memphis right now. You had him on the roster. And they say we understand that no big can replace Joker. We just can't do. Yeah, because he's a unique player. We've been trying to find a quarterback like John or like Peyton Manning. There ain't none out there. You got to find a new guy developing what the system he can run. So they just need an athletic dude that can protect the rim, get you 8 points and 7 rebounds in 15 minutes, and then say goodnight, Irene. You know what I'm saying?
But you said the big thing right there, the rebounds. I'd love to see a guy just help there. Because, man, what hurt me the other night, and Aaron Gordon out too, you and I talked about it. With Aaron Gordon and Joker out, you are not a big team. You just don't have a lot of size.
you're not other than DJ. After that, you have no physicality at all.
Right. You've got some tall guys, but they ain't banging inside.
Yeah, Russ is your toughest guy.
There's no doubt about that. God, I really do like him. I do. He's fun, just man. What they needed, is he not? He's talking to everybody. Who was he? Who was the guy who was telling you better box me out last night?
The Zubats.
Zubats. Guy three times his size or whatever.
95-pound dude. So
I love it.
I told you I get it. He said, you better apply me on there. I'm going to get it too. And he got it. Put it back in.
I love it. Dude, how about him going against Wemby? Wemby didn't like him too. He was all up in Wemby's head the other night. Wemby was too worried about it. Wemby was more worried about him. He was like my pug nipping at his ankles or something.
When's the last guy that you can remember on any of the Nuggets team was that guy that could get in multiple people's head every night?
When your boy Kevin Willis came through town, that was fun a little bit, but
he could a little bit, but he couldn't play like Russ.
No, look, and Russ loves it. I don't know that the Nuggets have had a guy that feeds off being the bad guy like Russ.
Yeah, that's his dessert, isn't it?
Yeah, well, egging on the crowd, doesn't mind yelling at people, Now, Jamal doesn't mind a little trash talk, I think, from the bench, but I don't think anybody loves being public enemy number one like Russ does.
Oh, not even close. I can't think of anybody. Al Wilson had a little bit of that in him.
Romo
had a lot of that in him. Romo would be the leader in the clubhouse for the Broncos.
Zadorov was that way for the Avs. He was going to hit guys that you like it, and I'm bigger than you. You don't like the way I hit you, I don't care. Now sometimes it was borderline, frankly, but he didn't care.
Let's be honest, you and I missed that a little bit.
Well, yeah, because I think you got to they got it tonight. They got that new Keaton Middleton.
Oh, I like
Keaton Middleton skated around. He had a couple guys. So Foligno wanted to dust up with Manson, and I guess Manson's got some injury. He can't fight yet. And Keaton Middleton got there real quick, and Foligno made his way to the locker room real fast at the end of that game. They'll be messing with no Keaton Middleton now.
No, I like him. I like him a lot.
Keaton Middleton a week ago was begging. I can't remember what game it was. It might have been Montreal. He was begging anybody out there to fight him, and nobody would take him up on it. Like, he literally went up to every guy he could, begging for them to fight him. And that was a national game, and the national guys are pointing it out. That won some altitude slant. They were laughing about it nationally because he couldn't find a taker.
Hey, right there. That's all you got to say.
Right.
That's all you got to say.
Yeah, you got too many good guys that people are way too willing to have a little extra shot, and I don't like it. I don't.
Listen, I played with Lambier. Now Lambier couldn't fight a lick, but he wasn't afraid to fight, and he'd stir it up. And there was games you could tell he stirred up. Didn't no one want it. We don't want to play. We know. Now there's certain teams that did. Charles would. Mahorn would. There's some guys that would, but for the most part, you know what?
Hey, did you hear the story? Nate had this great story about J.J. Redick and his coaching staff, or no? Was it J.J.? Who's the coach of the Lakers?
J.J.
Okay. Did you hear about the fact that he did not know about the fight between Scotty Brooks and Nate McMillan in the playoffs that one year?
Really?
When he hired him on the same staff, somebody had to tell him, and I guess they had never really talked about it or anything. It was in The Athletic. Yeah, so we went and looked up the video. Like, it was one of those, I did not realize Scotty Brooks wasn't afraid of nothing, because Nate McMillan was like shouldering him, and then gave him a little shot at the end, and Brooks wanted all the smoke, man. It was like, it was classic your era basketball. But yeah, apparently J.J. Redick hires these two and had no idea they'd had history on the court. So I told Nate, I go, I wanted to ask you about it, because like, did you have a guy that you ever fought where, like, because Jeb Putzer, there was I can't remember the guy's name. There's some linebacker on the Chiefs that Jeb Putzer saw in a 24-hour fitness. And he said it was not one of those let's leave it on the field things. They definitely kept a wide berth because there was going to be a scrap if they got too close to each other. But for the most, like I said, you and Charles joke about your thing all the time. Do guys generally let it go when it's done, or how does that go in your mind?
Yeah, I feel like for the most part everybody lets it go. And then now it's many years. I sent you that video where I punched Jeff Rulin, right? That was my very first NBA fight.
Yeah.
And the only thing that I've verified on that is I think I really did stun him because he was kind of a little wobbly walking out at the end of it. Because for all these for 30 years I thought, man, he didn't even bother him. But no, I think I wobbled his ass just a little bit. But I talked to him about that about 20 years ago. He was actually on somebody's bench, Portland or somebody. Washington, I don't know, he's somewhere, and he's out on the floor. So I went up and talked to him. Hey, Jeff, hey, and I started telling that story. And he was laughing, and we were laughing. And so, yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure how tight Isaiah Thomas would be with Karl Malone.
Right.
Kind of cheap shot at him and put 27 stitches in the side of his head.
Well, I'm sure everybody's got one, but for the most part, do you just leave it on the court, or?
Yeah, I think for the most part, leave it on the court. Back then, it was just. I mean, of all the people back, especially in the '80s, wouldn't you think hockey guys there'd be fights in the parking lot and under the arena all the time?
I always wondered about Adam Foote and Brendan Shanahan because I was in a number of media scrums where we would always ask Adam Foote, well, because they always had a moment in every Avs Red Wings game, and Adam would always. I remember Adam. I could tell Adam. I just got the vibe. Adam was not happy after one of them, but his answer was always, "It's on the ice. It's staying there. I ain't telling you what happened." So he would never talk about it. You remember they wondered how that Avs Red Wings alumni game was going to go at Coors Field right before the Winter Classic out there.
Hey, and that third period got a little physical. In that third period.
I think some guys still wanted a little. There's still some old war wounds there.
Yeah.
I can't believe McCarty and Lemieux get along. That's what I can't believe. They're like buddies now.
Did you see that interview where he's down in Detroit with? Well, Lemieux, what's Detroit's big winger guy that's young? Well, he's not young now. He's probably 22. Lemieux's like an agent now. He's like his agent.
Yeah. Oh well, those are fun times. I like a little zestiness in the rivalry. I like a little hate.
Watching a football game and guys are banging and chesting in the first few minutes of a game.
Bronco Raiders, man, there would be one fight every Bron. Do you remember when Ralph Tam punched a guy in the nuts and ran off to the sideline? Literally square. They caught him on camera. I mean, just whoom, like right in the sack. And I remember Doc was waiting on the sidelines, and he's like, "Why are you running?" And he's like, "Oh, I just punched so-and-so right in the nuts. Got him square." And he was laughing about it. So
that's funny.
Anyway, all right, it's been an hour. We probably ought to let everybody go. We're going to try to get back into regular rotation. Remind me again, you got the double dip in Dallas, and then what's next week look like?
I leave Saturday, play Sunday afternoon there in Dallas Monday, play Tuesday back. We can do it Wednesday. I think I got a game Thursday. Then I leave Friday for like a week.
Yeah, we'll do it Wednesday. Aren't they playing 2 in Dallas or no?
Yeah, Sunday and Tuesday.
Saturday. Oh, that's right. Saturday afternoon and Sunday.
Sunday afternoon and Tuesday.
Oh, okay. They're not back to back?
No. Well, they're back to back with a day in between.
But it's not like what you just did in San Antonio.
No.
Okay. By the way, I heard you guys talking about how they tried to do this international favor for everybody with the game, and now it sounds like Nicole will be back, but Nicola's been sick. There's a chance both Doncic and Nicola don't play.
Yeah. Well, the NBA's,
Yeah, we need to stop. Let's just cut it off right there.
Had a foolish year.
Would you like to come live in this basement? No, you would not.
No.
So we're just going to leave it right there. Thanks to all the guys thanks to I can't say guys, all the guys and gals. Thanks to everybody that chimed in, and we'll talk to you next week. Good night, all. Say good night there, Stormy.
Good night, Stormy.